Thank you, Dr. Munshi, Chairperson. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm going to speak on frozen shoulder. And before we move forward, does anyone know who this guy is? Very important in shoulder, very important for frozen shoulder. And this is the guy who coined the term frozen shoulder. Anyone who this guy is? Yes, correct, sir, of course. So Codman is the guy who described frozen shoulder first. This was way back in 1939. He's a very important tumor guy, but he's very important for shoulders as well. Now, I'm just going to show you a clinical scenario and ask you, do you think this is frozen shoulder? He has active restriction. Who thinks this is frozen shoulder? Can you raise your hand, anyone who thinks this is frozen shoulder? Okay, there is no passive restriction. So no, of course, this is not a frozen shoulder. I'll show you next, okay. Now this girl, she's 52-year-old, active passive restriction. Okay, she cannot external rotate more than 10-15 degrees. And she cannot elevate more than 90 probably. This has been there since 1 year. And even internal rotation, this is global restriction. Now, true definition of global restriction, she cannot take it, elevate more than 90, external rotation 10 degrees, internal rotation restricted since 1 year. Now, how many people agree this is frozen shoulder? Okay, but you didn't see the X-ray. This is not frozen shoulder. Okay, your X-rays have to be normal. This is an osteoarthritis of glenohumeral. You cannot label someone as frozen shoulder before seeing the X-ray. Now, next, okay, so this patient also has active passive restriction. So, elevation again restricted. Not going more than 90. External rotation also restricted. So, both active and passive restriction. And the X-rays are given normal. I mean, I don't have the X-rays, but they are normal. Now, who thinks, because X-rays are normal, active, passive restriction, this is frozen shoulder? Who says this is frozen shoulder? He has 30 degrees of rotation. Now, the MRI shows labral tear. Now, how many people think this is frozen shoulder? Well, yes, this is frozen shoulder. MRI is a red herring. We don't normally do an MRI, but sometimes if you do an MRI, there is some sort of small labral tear which could be ignored. So X-rays are normal. There is active passive restriction. It is not, external rotation is not restricted too much, but it was 30 degrees. So meaning to say, if you have an X-ray normal, you have active passive restriction, and MRI shows a normal labral tear, those are red herrings. Those are designed to lead you off track. Mostly, your frozen shoulder should be a clinical diagnosis. So, the ISOCOS has defined this term as a primary idiopathic stiff shoulder. This is a definition coined by the committee and published by a paper by Itoi, which says, active passive restriction in a normal X-ray, no secondary cause, you can label it as frozen shoulder. So if you go to natural history, there are not many papers, 3 or 4 papers, and the paper by Reeves in 1975, often quoted all the conferences, 50% still did not recover. They had some mild restriction after a few years, even at 10 years. There was some mild restriction. 50% recovered completely. 7% had a severe restriction. So 50% had recovered normally. Now the other 2 papers are more recent. 2012 said 92%. JCS 2004 says 89% recovered. So there is a disparity. If you want to believe 50%, but there are many papers now saying 92% recovered, 89% recovered. So predisposing factors, we all know diabetes, thyroid, cervical disc, non-shoulder surgeries, cardiac issues, pulmonary. But 3 main associations. Diabetes, dupuytren's contracture, and hypoparathyroidism. These are strongly correlated. So, and diabetes, of course, we see so many patients with diabetes frozen shoulder. Bilateral involvement, refractory to treatment, and protracted course. If you want to go into immunology, this ICAM molecule is elevated in diabetes and frozen shoulder. And dupuytren's, that is associated rate of association 52%. because of presence of vimentin. This is a contractile protein, mainly leading to a fibrotic disease in both. So these are the etiologies which have been disproved. Trauma, severe trauma, there is always a minor trauma in frozen shoulder, but any severe trauma, of course not. Algodystrophy, rotator cuff degeneration, suprascapular neuropathy, these all have been disproved. So we all know now, but it is a capsular pathology. There is a synovial inflammation, a little inflammation in the beginning, which leads to fibrosis, which leads to contracture and a decreased volume of these parts of the capsule. Coracohumeral ligament, very important, anterior-inferior capsule, glenohumeral ligament. These are all contracted. And if you see the 3 phases in evolution, and Weiser had detailed this, 3 phases, freezing, frozen, thawing. But more important to know than these 3 phases is that these are not distinct. There will be a continuum of process. You cannot define that freezing phase is over, now begins the second, now begins the third. There will be always some features of both phases. And first phase, as we all know, painful phase, more of inflammation. This is all inflammatory slide, as we know. Second phase goes on to a stiff phase, the pain decreases. And third phase, it's not painful, but it gradually resolves. So take home message, mostly now we are seeing this frozen shoulder and diagnosing by both active and passive restriction of movements. Normal X-ray, normal labs, clinical diagnosis, may be immune mediated because we see so many immune molecules in the histopathology. There may be a preceding minor injury and strong correlation with diabetes and Dupuytren's. Thank you.